Hello everybody, and welcome to the first additional system where we're going to talk about business and financial tracking. Now within this system, we're going to talk about the importance of financial tracking. The purpose of this program is not for you to feel like you're held to some sort of money goal. However, when you track your finances, it makes it easier for taxes and it makes it easier for you to save time, energy, and effort in the future. We're also going to talk about crafting that business formula, and I'm going to get into the last pieces that I track every single week that you are going to start doing as well if you want. Then you're going to learn how to talk about financial tracking. They are going to be one and the same, and they're going to be on the same spreadsheet so that you can use this to start tracking and evaluating things that are working within your business, because the data does not lie. And then we're going to go through and apply, and we're going to talk through how to actually go through your finances for the past year if you want, and add that. Now, why is this important? We want to be creating a spreadsheet because having those goals in the future that we talked about, those amazing goals at the very beginning, it's something that we want to be like, oh, hey, are we on target for this? If not, what kind of things could we do? And when you do that, what happens is you're able to be like, okay, so I was on target. It's like, I would love to make 200K. And then I realized I really have not hit consistent 24K months. And that's what I would need to do. So I was like, okay, interesting. How would I be able to make 24K months happen? And I was like, well, I would need to sign 4 clients that paid in full. I shit you not, guys. I literally was like, I would do 4 consults. They would pay in full. And we are in August 25th, and I've already made 20K just in this month. So if someone else signs up, then that means I've hit my goal. It's not necessarily so you hit the goal, but it gets your brain thinking about it. And again, that reticular activating system will get to work solving that problem in your sleep, which is helpful. And it also kind of like puts like, I don't know, it makes you think about like, oh, this could be a potential client. And it gives you a benchmark, which is helpful. It also helps you create realistic projections. So let's say you're like, I want to have I want to have 15 consults, and I want to have a consult a day for a week, and you've never had consistent monthly consults. That might not be a great goal. It's just something that you can recognize, my brain is trying to beat me up and set goals that are not helpful for me. So I want to set goals that are helpful for me and serve me. This is going to be helpful for projections later to think about, okay, if I reasonably bring in this amount every month, I can kind of be like, okay, I can kind of assume that I'm able to now consistently make this amount of money. The other important thing is your business will be predictable. For me, every time, and it'll be different for you, in the summer, I do not get as many sales. So I'm like, okay, if a lot of people are traveling in my sphere, not always for you, but in my sphere, I'm like, I'm going to plan some travel in the summer. This year I was able to take off a month and a half, probably more like 2 months, completely away from my business because I had systems to support it. And I was just able to batch that content, get the posts out, and really not work at all on vacation. I want you to be able to take that time too, and when you have a predictable business, it'll be way less surprising. The next piece is that money will be so enjoyable because you'll immediately see the impact of your input. Now within this, we want to talk about that business formula. Remember how I mentioned that before? The indirect and direct ways that you're spending your time. We want to be scheduling time in your calendar for both, and we want to be increasing intensity for things that work. So how do you know what's actually working? I told you a little bit about what worked for me, but this business formula is something that's going to be really helpful as you plan your business in the future. So when you're thinking about, again, those direct and indirect ways, I actually did the numbers for my business. So I was like, I invested $66K in 2022 and 260 hours that were just getting coaching and mentorship. I also I did 130 hours of self-coaching. I wrote 260 hours of copy in the whole year, and I was able to manage for 416 hours, and I was planning for 104, and I was delivering for 883. So you can get an idea, how did I get those numbers? It's because I knew how I was spending my time, and I want to make sure that everything I did for my business, if it's working, continue doing it. And especially like within the mentorship, that's the biggest piece for me. I think it's one of the main reasons I've always had a coach. I've always been in masterminds. I've always invested in that. And that's been a really critical piece that I've seen as a difference between myself and my peers. Now, because I think you're being held accountable, which is helpful. Now, when we're talking about spending your time in the direct ways, I had networking, webinars. These were all the big pieces of my funnel that I was doing. I want to talk about why tracking those big pieces of your funnel are important. So here are all the things that I did within my business in 2022, and I want you to look at this next spreadsheet. When you look at that, you can see all the consults that I did. I mentioned that before, we want to start tracking them. It was to seed you or prepare you for this. So here are all the people I did consults with within 2022. The people who were green on the left, those are people who said yes and actually worked with me. The people who were white said not for now or ghosted me. So within that, look at my sources. I had all the people that came from Instagram. You can see the orange is sparse. You can see the presentations are seeming to work, and you can already see word of mouth is working. You want to be able to get that down to a science so you know how to spend your time. And look at this next spreadsheet that I'm going to show you. This was my results. So I was tracking my results from the year, and I was like, from just networking, which I spent it was something like 26 hours. If you go back a couple slides on your own time, I spent 26 hours just networking of my whole year. And I got 29 consults from it and 23 clients. I had an 80% conversion rate from networking. Guess what I beefed up in 2023? Networking. The other thing is with Instagram, remember I talked about 900 hours? I only got 7 consults from that and 4 clients. That was a 57% conversion rate. Maybe I should spend less time on that in the future, is what I realized for next year. And with webinars, I got 4 presentations, 4 different clients, and I had a 100% conversion rate. So that's one of the reasons why I teach it to you. And my conversion rate last year was still 75%, which is really, really high. I want you to know that normal conversion rates are 8 to 10%. However, I've worked really hard to improve my conversion rate and bring in the best fit people for the consult so that they come in pretty much already sold. Now, I want you to think about within your business tracking, you're going to have marketing. You're going to see the marketing that you're doing. Again, that big funnel. We're also going to think about the sales that you do. So think about marketing is like the A line of your model. The sales and revenue are like the result line of your model. That's how much money you've made. And then we're going to talk about the profit and loss statement. You're going to see, okay, I made this money, but I had a refund or things like that. And you're going to think about expenses later on. Now, within this, I track this weekly. So every single week, I'm tracking the numbers that I network. Now you can look at this year already, and I did a lot of networking in the first week, and then I did nothing. That's what you're going to see trends for. You're also going to see that I did a lot of outreach in the first 3 weeks, and then nothing. And pretty much in the month of July, did no outreach. And that's okay. These numbers are used to serve you, not to beat you up, but it's just good to build awareness. And then you start to normalize the negatives, the zeros, and then it doesn't feel as weird when you're tracking it later. Also with the offers, I was like 6, 6, 4, 6. So those are the number of posts that I did. The number of consults I got 2 within January. And the one that converted was in that first week. And the number of sales that I got within that month. And then you want to take that, and you'll see in your spreadsheet, you'll see that weekly is on the left. Monthly is going to, and I have a separate video to show you how to use spreadsheets if you've never used a spreadsheet. It's like an awesome, magical, big calculator. So I'll talk to you about how you can take that and you can add all of the sum together so you can get your monthly averages and then you can get your quarterly averages, and you can start to see trends. That's the whole point of tracking. Now, within that, since I could see my trends, the reason why I chose networking, outreach, and posting, those were all things that I wanted to make sure that because I got clients from those places, those are the things that I'm tracking. So for you, I want you to think about, okay, so if I was able to do all this networking 26 hours a week, 26 hours for the whole year, what would be my goal for this year? And so this was the formula that I made that was a goal. I was like, okay, if I spend 2.5 hours weekly, like I was telling you, the 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening, that would be awesome. I got 21 clients from that. So I'm predicting like 4 clients a month. Did I do that? No. And it's okay, but we want to make sure that we are tracking things that are relevant. I also, even though I got more clients from networking, I'm still choosing to spend 5 hours on Instagram a week. So I'm making sure that I'm planning and getting those posts out. Still got 4 clients from it, and my goal is to maybe get 1 client a month. The next thing is doing webinars. I want to make sure that I spent 8 hours per webinar, but it did get me 4 clients. So my goal is to get a client a quarter from doing a webinar a quarter. So that is it. That is business tracking. Thank you so much for being you. You guys are amazing. Let me know if you have questions, and I'll see you in the next module.